This channel won't survive without your subscription and likes. Help me." The crowd was laughing, phones held up and ready. The tourist pulled out a black marker and, grinning, brought it closer to the guard's face. The marker inched even nearer. And then, in the very next second, a sharp clash of metal rang out. What happened next made the entire crowd freeze in horror. But let's start from the very beginning. The London sun peeked through the clouds, reflecting off the gilded gates of Buckingham Palace. A swarm of tourists filled the square, darting around with iPhones and cameras, desperately trying to capture the perfect shot of the royal residence. The murmur of voices, the chime of phone notifications, and the occasional gasp of excitement blended into one, creating the chaotic hum of a peak tourist moment. Amidst all this commotion, he stood out the most. A tall, tanned man in his mid-40s, with a square jaw and a smirk that instantly gave away his love for cheap beer and bad jokes. His entire look seemed designed to irritate. A neon green Hawaiian shirt covered in pineapples billowed in the breeze. Baggy shorts did nothing to flatter his knobby knees, and oversized sandals worn without socks added an air of deliberate sloppiness. In one hand, he clutched a plastic cup of beer, lazily sloshing with every step, and in the other, a thick black marker. This man was ready to put on a show. "Hey guys, watch this!" he bellowed, drawing immediate attention from the crowd. A few tourists turned their heads, some even hit record on their phones. Seeing the cameras, his grin widened. He was basking in the spotlight. Then he strode straight toward a British guard. The guardsman was the epitome of discipline and stoicism. Tall, lean, his weathered face lined with faint wrinkles. He stood motionless, clad in a pristine red uniform, gold buttons gleaming under the sun. The towering bearskin hat atop his head made him appear even taller, even more statuesque, like a permanent part of the palace itself. And even as the American came to a halt right in front of him, the soldier did not flinch. The crowd started murmuring. Some chuckled. Some exchanged glances. Some had their phones out, knowing that something foolish was about to go down. But the tourist seemed oblivious to the cameras, the spectators, and the growing tension. His target was right in front of him. "This guy needs some happiness in his life, don't you think?" He snickered, twirling the marker between his fingers. A brief pause. The marker hovered mere inches from the guardsman's frozen face. The crowd held its breath. Something about this felt off, but the American didn't realize it yet. The crowd froze. The laughter that had echoed just moments ago began to die down, replaced by hushed whispers and wary glances. Some kept recording, some pretended not to notice, and others nervously scanned the area for security. But the tourist, this overconfident American in his blinding green shirt, saw none of it. In his mind, he was the star of the show. "All right, buddy, let's fix that grumpy face of yours." He smirked, smacking his lips as he brought the black marker closer to the guard's face. The tip of the marker nearly touched the soldier's pale skin when... Nothing. The guardsman didn't move. He remained as still as ever, a living statue in his red uniform. "Damn, dude, you're really committed to this, huh?" The tipsy tourist leaned in, sketching an invisible line in the air as if drawing a smile on the guard's face. A few people in the crowd let out nervous chuckles, not out of amusement, but discomfort. He was crossing a line. The Queen's Guard was known for their unshakable discipline, but everyone knew there were limits that should never be tested, and this idiot was creeping closer to them. "Come on, just a little smile. No one will know," he slurred, swaying slightly on his feet. The crowd was no longer entertained. This wasn't funny anymore. It was awkward, tense, dangerous. The tourist leaned in even closer, his marker hand trembling in the air, inching forward, just about to... Clang. The crowd jolted. The drunken tourist froze. Metal, sharp, loud. unforgiving. The guard was no longer standing still. The clash of metal tore through the air like a gunshot. The crowd froze. In an instant, the rifle, bayonet fixed, was ready. The blade gleamed under the London sun, stopping just inches from the tourist's throat. Silence. A light breeze ruffled the edges of the American's garish shirt. And suddenly, everything changed. Seconds ago, he had been cocky, a carefree prankster. Now, he looked pathetic. The smirk that had clung to his face vanished, as if someone had erased it along with the marker stroke he had been about to draw. His eyes widened. His lips trembled. Whoa, man, chill! His voice cracked, stripped of all its former confidence. Slowly, he raised his hands, still clutching the black marker, as if that pathetic piece of plastic could somehow save him from the situation he had just created. But it was too late. Step away from the guard! The sharp voice of a security officer sliced through the air, as cold as the steel of the bayonet. The tourist froze, afraid to move. And that's when real action began. From behind the crowd, several security personnel emerged. Massive men in black suits, their faces unreadable, their steps swift and precise. The crowd erupted in reaction. Some people staggered back. Some covered their mouths, unable to believe what they were seeing. Some kept filming, but not for laughs anymore. Now it was too shocking to miss. This wasn't entertainment anymore. This was humiliation. There was no laughter in people's eyes now, just disgust. Because this tourist had crossed the line, and now he was about to find out what that meant. It all happened in a second. The black-suited security officers lunged forward. A pair of hands grabbed him roughly, yanking his arms behind his back. The marker slipped from his grip, but no one cared. Mate, you just committed assault on the Queen's Guard. The officer's voice was cold, unyielding, like a concrete wall the cocky American had just crashed into head first. The tourist's face flushed red, as if someone had poured a bucket of paint over him. Dude, I was just having fun. It's a joke. A joke! His voice shook, his eyes darting around, searching for at least one sympathetic face. But in the crowd, no one looked concerned. Some pressed their lips together, holding back laughter. Some had already switched their cameras to live stream. Some just stood there, watching yet another tourist disaster unfold. The officer leaned in closer, his voice a low, menacing whisper. Not in the UK, it's not. The tourist was dragged forward. The crowd parted, clearing a path as if for some disgraced criminal in a movie. He struggled, tried to say something, but his words drowned in the noise. And through it all, the guard never moved. Not an inch. Not even a blink. Standing there, an immovable statue, utterly untouchable. And then, something fell from the tourist's pocket. A black marker. It rolled across the pavement, leaving a faint smudge on the gray stone. For a moment, everyone stood still. And then, the crowd erupted into nervous, uncontrollable laughter. But this wasn't normal laughter. It was the kind of wild, absurd laughter that only happens when you witness something truly ridiculous. And the funniest part? That cheap, stupid marker had just become the final punchline to the ultimate humiliation of the American tourist.